Let's talk about Antony Gordon. This is major news, right? It's everywhere. His boyhood club are in a relegation battle, right? He's not going to the club now. We understand that he has told Everton he's not going to return.
Yep.
Firstly, what do you make of, not just him, players that put themselves in this position? That miss training, so I'm not coming back when another club, in this case Newcastle, is interested in signing him. What do you make of that scenario?
I don't like it missing training, because I just think the reason I don't like it is because if the move doesn't happen, you put it out there and you go, right, I want to leave, I'm not going to return to training until you sell me. I always fear for the worst if that doesn't happen. Now, some of the obvious ones, like Peter Odemwingie, who drove himself to QPR, then had to go, I think he was at West Brom at the time, had to then go back to West Brom, and he got booed by his own fans. Which
tail between his legs.
It's horrible. But I think in this type of scenario, where I don't like it, and I've got a problem with it, is that Everton are his club. That's where he started. That's where he's come through the youth ranks there. He's elevated himself to, and rightly so, with his performances and now kind of that no fear attitude when he's playing, that all of a sudden he is one of the most coveted youngsters in the country. Like, people like him. Chelsea were willing to pay 60 million for him, which I thought was overpriced. Newcastle now are looking at him thinking, right, we want him in our squad. That's why I think. That's why I don't really like this scenario, because he's a young kid. He's been at Everton now. He's got himself into the first team. He's doing really well. He's automatically one of their best players now with his performances and how hard he's worked. And he's almost like thrown it away. Like the fans, there's nothing better than any football club. It doesn't matter where you are. There is nothing more important to football fans when you see one of your own get to the first team and do well. Like, people love it. You look at Rooney at Everton. Now, Rooney's a kind of a similar case. Because, listen, Antony Gordon's ability is he's a good player. He's not Rooney. He's nowhere near Rooney was as a kid. But look at the way Rooney conducted himself when he was going to Man. He never not train. He got himself there, ended up getting the move. I think if Antony Gordon had continued to train, hadn't thrown his toes at the pram, first of all, who's advising him? That's a question.
This is where I'm going to go with it.
So I think if he'd have just trained, did what he needed to do, do everything straight and narrow, down the book, as by the book, do what you need to do. If Newcastle want you with the money that they've got, they'll get you anyway.
Listen, I agree with everything you said. You touched on a point there. Who's advising him? He's 21 years old, right? He is a baby. He's and I don't just mean as a footballer. I just mean in life. At 21, you know, he obviously does. But I'm saying normally, in the normal world, you don't know what you want to do. You don't know who you're going to marry. You have no idea about what's going to happen in the next. It's only when you get to, this is not me sounding patronising, but it's only when you get to maybe 26, 27, and then some, that you start understanding what's going on in the world, and you sort of can have a grasp as to whether or not you're doing the right or wrong things in principle.
Yeah.
He should have people around him that will say to him, listen, you keep your head down, you get back to that club, you carry on training with them, we will try and sort this move out. Because if it doesn't happen, you've not got the problem of going back to the club and the fans being on your back, right? And we know what the club's like at the moment.
Yeah, they'll be on his back 100%.
Anyway, because of where the club is at the moment. Right, so, you know, you've got to alleviate that pressure. But also just, you know, this is what you, or he doesn't necessarily, but people do, it's what you have an agent for.
Yeah.
There's no way that he should ever put himself in this firing line. Honestly, if he's listening, if Antony Gordon is listening, and he's, just, as I say, a young kid, have a look at the people around you that are advising you to do what you're doing. Because if the move's going to happen, if Newcastle are going to buy you, it's going to happen anyway, whether or not you're training. Forcing through a move, it's such a dangerous game to play, certainly when you're a young kid as well.
But that's the thing, and I always look at that, and you said it rightly there, it is a dangerous game to play when you want to move and you try and force it through this way, because, I mean, I don't know what Everton's stance is on it, but if Everton wanted to, and certainly with the way that the supporters are with the ownership and that, it's a toxic place right now. If the Everton fans went, you know what, all right, just to take a bit of the pressure off us, even though you never be able to take the full pressure from the fans off the board. But what the board and that will go, well, you know what? No, you're staying in now. You're trying to force a move through. Off you go. We're not selling you. You go and play in front of them fans. And unfortunately, even though he's a young kid, at first, because it won't last forever, but at first, he will get pelters from the supporters. That's just how it is, because it shows that it's almost like we're in a relegation battle. I'm too good for you lot, so I'm off. That's how it looks. It doesn't look like he's part of them. It looks like it's you and me.
But also in any other industry, like us, for argument's sake, we've got agents, right?
Yeah.
Now, talkSPORT may say to you, Benty, can you record that? And you'll go, I'd love to do it. I'd love to, but just speak to my agent.
Yeah.
And then you phone your agent up and you go, I don't want to do it. And the agent says Benty doesn't want to do it, and you go, I want to do it, but my agent won't let me.
Yeah.
And that's what he should be saying. Listen, I love this club, I want to stay. Agent gets involved.
But he does not have to. He doesn't have to do all this nonsense.
That's what I'm saying.
As I'm saying, if he just goes,
he's been so badly advised.
Go to training. Even if someone said to you, "Don't go to training," you go, "What? Shut up! I'm going to training."
Yeah.
You go to training. You continue to train. Do everything you got to do. Newcastle, with the money that they've got, if Eddie Howe has looked at Antony Gordon and said, "Do you know what? And I want him. He's the one I want." Newcastle will get him.
Yeah.
Newcastle will 100 with the money they've got. They will 100 get him. 100% get him. Now all of a sudden you'd have Eddie Howe looking down. Do I really want that type of player? That's going to maybe potentially.
Oh, I don't think that'll go through his mind.
It would. He has to.
Do you think so?
He has to.
What, the fact that he's missed 3 days and says he's not going to return?
Yeah. If Eddie, I mean, listen. For all we know, Newcastle might be with the ones telling him to go. Listen, we'll get you, but don't. You know what I mean? Don't go to training.
That's a good point.
But if they're not, Eddie Howe's looking at thinking, well, he comes to us, does well, and then Manchester City come for him, and they're in a better position than we are, and we say that he's not going.
But isn't that just football, Benny?
Is he going to do that to us? Managers look at that, and you look at someone like Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
He looks like he's a man of principle.
I agree with that.
He doesn't look like he'd be one of them. He wants good eggs in his camp. You look what he's built
that.
at Newcastle. It looks like he's built something there where that change room is airtight. Does he really want someone in there coming in there and messing things up?